Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalamais Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalamais. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 16th of January 2024. There is no Hindu edition today due to Pongal. Then coming to the explain section of the Indian Express newspaper, three articles were important from our exam point of view about the inflation number one, number two about the Davos summit, and number three about the snow leopards. So these are the three articles that we are going to discuss today, which is displayed on your screen. So the first article is about what is World Economic Forum meeting, which is held annually in Davos. Why this is in news? Because World Economic Forum is holding its annual meeting from January 15 to 19 in Davos, Switzerland. So here we would be discussing all the details about the WEF. So who initiated this WEF? It was founded by a German professor, Klaus Schwab. He was a mechanical engineer, but also he did his master's in public administration from Howard University. For that reason, he was a professor of business policy at the University of Geneva from 1972 to 2003. So he founded this WEF in the year 1971, but the original purpose was a management forum. It was kind of a management forum known as European Management Forum, which introduced the concept of stakeholder capitalism. So this concept of stakeholder capitalism was introduced by WEF. So what does this mean? It is a form of capitalism in which the various companies which are associated, they think about their short-term profits. Generally, companies, they will think about their short-term profits for all their shareholders. But together with that, they will also think about the long-term value creation. That means they will think about the needs of their stakeholders also and the society at large also. So basically they will consider the major global issues of the day that are running, and they brainstorm and they find solutions also to address those challenges. So this was the basic aim of the WEF then. So initially, as we just discussed, it was kind of European Management Forum, where, for example, meetings would happen that how European firms would catch up with the US management practices. But in 1973, there was an expansion in its focus. There was an expansion of its role. So previously it used to do management, but now it shifted its role to economic and social issues. Why? In context of two events during that time. There was a collapse of the Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate mechanism, and there was Arab-Israeli war. So there was expansion in its focus from management to the economic and social issues in 1973. Then in 1975, after 2 years, the system of membership called for 1,000 leading companies of the world, right? Then now in Davos, we are calling for 3,000 and more participants, which includes many investors, many business leaders, many political leaders, economists, celebrities, and journalists. And the meeting goes up for 5 long days to discuss the all global issues. So here it has basically become a forum where various stakeholders would come together, meet, and discuss the global and the regional socio-economic issues. So this is how the role was expanded. The role got shifted from mere management to economic and social issues. Okay, so these questions come in the prelims examination. It can be in the option that WEF was from the beginning concentrated on the socio-economic issues. So that statement would go wrong. So after knowing these details, you could easily eliminate the options with anything related to WEF. Right? So please revise these facts because these facts have been coming in the prelims examination as option. So you should be clear about the details. Then the question comes that who funds the WEF? So it is basically funded by the partnering corporations. And it is not small corporations which fund the WEF. There are global enterprises with annual turnover greater than $5 billion who contribute to the WEF, who largely fund to the WEF, right? Then why the WEF meeting is held at Davos? It is because of the serene environment there. So it is said that the leaders, they get cut off from all the distractions of the global politics, and they sit together to create a more prosperous global economy there. So for that reason, in Switzerland, the WEF meeting is held annually. What else happens at WEF? So there are three things happening at WEF. First is the high level diplomacy. So historically, Davos facilitated all kinds of crucial international diplomatic breakthroughs. For example, leaders from opposing sides like North Korea and South Korea, East and West Germany, they used this platform because this platform is a very neutral ground. So they use this platform to break any tensions and pave way for future agreements. Then it is a platform for launching global initiatives also. So very less people would be knowing that WEF led to the formation of G20. Actually, 1998 WEF, it called for greater representation of the developing countries in global finance, right? So it led to the forum like G20, because initially G20 was kind of a finance ministers meeting, but later it turned out to be a global summit. Okay, a full-fledged summit addressing all major global issues, right? So you must be knowing this fact also, that it led to the formation of G20 after this lecture. Then what else happens at WEF? It publishes some of the influential reports like Global Competitiveness Report, like Global Gender Gap Report, Future of Jobs, Global Risk Report. So these reports are being published by WEF, which you must learn by heart. So these reports are very, very important from your prelims point of view. Please remember these. So this was all about WEF. All the details must be there in your notes. You must be revising. They can very well come in your prelims exam this year. Then we come to the next article, that what December inflation data tells us, what it means for the budget and monetary policy. So why this is in news? Because India's consumer price index CPI based inflation rate, it has touched 5.7% in December according to the latest official release. So let's discuss what is CPI inflation, who releases the data, all the details about it. So CPI inflation is that kind of inflation that the consumers face on day-to-day basis. It is a rate of inflation that consumers face. Basically, it will measure any changes over time in the general level of price of the basket of selected goods and services that the households acquire for the purpose of consumption. Okay, so this is CPI inflation. Then who releases the data? It is by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and the current CPI basket comprises of 299 items at an all India level, and it is constructed for both rural and urban consumers. It is not that it captures only the urban consumers, it is both the rural and the urban consumers that are captured for releasing the data. Then how is it calculated? What is the base year for the current series of indices? It is 2012. So the data for this purpose is collected on a weekly basis by the field staff of NSO, that is National Statistical Office. And what are the components of CPI? It has 6 main components. What are those 6 main components? It is food and beverages, pan, tobacco and intoxicants, clothing is included, footwear is included, housing is included, fuel and light is included, and the miscellaneous services like education, healthcare is included. So you can notice from the components of CPI that these are the services and the goods which the consumers face directly. Then among the 6 main components which is carrying the highest weightage, it is the food articles. It is the food articles that currently weigh 54% of the total index. And within the food category, it is the cereal prices which is the biggest factor. They account for 12.4% of the total CPI. That means any spike in the prices of the food articles like cereals, vegetables, milk, pulses will have the biggest impact in raising the food inflation, the consumer inflation. So any changes in the food articles will have a direct impact, will have the biggest impact in raising the consumer inflation. And why food articles have been given such a high weightage? Because most of the Indian consumers, they tend to spend a lot of money, a considerable portion of their income towards meeting their food demand. So that is why the food articles are given such a big weightage in the calculation of the index. Then the second biggest component is of miscellaneous services, that is education and healthcare. Then coming to the current data, what does the current data show? It is showing a downward trend of the core inflation rate. So what do you mean by core inflation rate? It is the inflation rate minus or after removing the food and the fuel inflation. Here food and the fuel inflation carry the biggest weightage as we just discussed. So if we deduct that from the inflation rate, then that becomes the core inflation rate. So here we are seeing a downward trend of the core inflation rate, as you can see this in the figure. So the red line is of core inflation. So you can see that how it is showing a downward trend in the December 2023 timeline. And on the whole, the inflation for the full financial year is likely to be 5.5%. And in March 2024, during the budget time, the inflation rate is expected to be 5%. So this is just a prediction. Okay, so this is going to be a major measurement, a major factor for the budget, for the upcoming budget. And this is the last measurement before the budget that is going to happen in the month of February. So this was all about this topic's discussion. Then we come to the next article, that is Darjeeling's zoo's success with the snow leopards. So why this is in news? Because the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park in Darjeeling has made headlines for successfully breeding 77 snow leopards since 1980s. So because it has successfully bred 77 in number snow leopards since 1980s, it has placed itself in second place in the world, only next to New York's Bronx Zoo, which has successfully bred 80 of them since 1960s. So in this article, we are more concerned with the species here, that is the snow leopards, which is very, very important from a prelims point of view. You should be knowing all the details about the snow leopard, about its conservation status, okay, about being the flagship species, everything about it. So you can see the species in the figure over here. Coming to the details, it is called as the ghost of the mountain species. It is called as the ghost of the mountains. It is the keystone and the indicator species of the high altitude habitat. So it basically stays in the high altitude habitat like Himalayas in India. And why it is called as the keystone and indicator species? Because it will tell us directly that something is changing in the environment in which it is staying. So any change in their environment directly impacts on the numbers of the species. For example, in this case, any change in the high altitude habitat due to global warming or anything, that will have direct impact on the snow leopards numbers. Okay, by which we can know that some change is happening in the environment due to which the snow leopards have been directly impacted. For that reason, they are called as keystone and indicator species. They will give an indication. Then it is also called as flagship species for the high altitude Himalayan ecosystem. Flagship means some kind of ambassador, icon of that area of the high altitude Himalayan ecosystem. It is known by the snow leopards. It is defined by the habitat. Okay, for that reason it is said as flagship species. It is the seventh largest cat species in the world. Coming to the distribution where it is found, it is native to the mountainous ranges of the Central and the South Asia. In India, it is in the Himalayan region. And coming to the habitat, it stays in the alpine and subalpine zones. And coming to the particular Indian states with the largest snow leopard population, Ladakh has the highest number of population, then Himachal Pradesh, and then Uttarakhand. And these are the states where snow leopard are found in India: Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. So you should be aware of the states. In the prelims examination, you can be confused with the options. Okay, Arunachal Pradesh will be there in the option. So if you remember only Ladakh area, then you will be confused. You won't be able to eliminate the option there. So you should be having a fair idea of the states as well. Right? So Ladakh has the highest population and then the other states. Then coming to the threats: habitat loss, poaching, climate change, unregulated tourism, competition from the livestock are the biggest threat for the species. Then the conservation status. This point is very, very important from your exam point of view. It is a vulnerable species in the IUCN Red List. According to CITES, it is included in the Appendix 1. Then in Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it is a Schedule 1 species which require more attention. Then coming to the conventions and agreements, where India is a party to the Global Snow Leopard and Ecosystem Protection Program GSLEP since 2013. Again, India is a part of Secure Himalayas initiative. What is Secure Himalayas initiative? It is a joint project of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and UNDP, United Nations Development Program, and Global Environment Facility. You should be remembering the institutions which is associated with the initiative. So all three are coming together. It is a joint project. It is funded by this GEF, Global Environment Facility. And basically it is implementing a land-based approach for the conservation and protection of the species there. Okay, of the high altitude ecosystem of the Himalayas there. Then we are also a part of Project Snow Leopard. Okay, so these agreements are very, very important from your exam point of view. You should be knowing about them. Hence the discussion comes to an end. The short notes of this video discussion will be provided in the Telegram channel, that is Kalam Academy, and the link for joining our Telegram channel will be provided to you in the description box. Do join us, and tomorrow we'll be having tomorrow's newspaper discussion again. Stay tuned. Until then, goodbye, take care and happy learning.